So, and while they were in China, they actually, I have some photos of them here. They are wearing like this wedding dress and take photos, and they remember for the rest of their life they were free at once like that in their life. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Yeonmi Park. I'm a North Korean defector human rights activist. So today I'm going to talk about something so important and something that you never knew before. So please stay here till the end. I promise that I'm going to make your time worth spent. So today in this video, I'm going to talk about a man who freed 12 beautiful ladies from Pyongyang in 2016. He kind of rewrote a history. Under North Korean history, this kind of event never ever happened. So beforehand, guys, I talked about in the past how Kim Jong-un makes. There are a lot of ways that he makes money, through selling missiles, through hacking, and through selling drugs. And another thing is also selling his own people. So today's story is gonna fit into the number 4, the human trafficking run by the Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un sells his people to these labor workers go to Siberia, Qatar, Poland, and even Africa to build those statues for African dictators. Another thing though he does is sending the girls in Pyongyang, only Pyongyang in the capital, the girls to send them to foreign restaurants to make foreign currency for him. And this is a story about a manager who ran one of these restaurants in China, and eventually he learned the lies about the dictatorship of North Korea and then freed those girls that he made them to work, and then he freed them with him to go to South Korea and freed 12 girls with him. His name is Ho Gang-il. I think I had him on my live before on my channel. I really recommend you to watch that live session that I had with him. So he is son of the most top elite in Pyongyang. Therefore, he studied in Russia, and then he went to school in Shanghai as a teenager. For university, he went back to North Korea. And then after his graduation from one of the top universities in Pyongyang, he was working the trading with China. And then of course he found the opportunity that he could start a restaurant in China using the free labor that was provided by North Korean regime. So let's talk about these girls. The Kim Jong-un, till this point, he runs these restaurants in Russia, of course, in Vietnam, Thailand, China. They're all over in European countries, and main, of course, location is China. So these girls between age 18 to 23, so American age gotta be something 16 to 17 to 21 or 22. Kim Jong-un doesn't let girls go older than that to go up because he thinks they're gonna be too smart to understand the lies about North Korea, and they might change their thoughts and escape. So he makes sure that nobody like older than 22 goes out of country. And also the girls who pretty. So it is not quite a prostitution, but what these restaurants do is they bring these girls from Pyongyang who can play guitar, accordion, piano, who can sing, and start a restaurant, North Korean restaurant in China. And then in the restaurant, of course, they sell North Korean food, but not only that, there are young girls there and they do the daily performance every day, like 2 times a day. So these girls who are talented, and not only that, they gotta be pretty, they gotta be a certain height. North Koreans are very malnourished, are way shorter, but the ones in Pyongyang are relatively well fed, so they pick the girls who is tall enough. And also not only that, their family backgrounds has been very good. So their loyalty towards the regime is very good. And of course, the fact they are the citizens of Pyongyang, it guarantees that their family backgrounds are pretty solid. If the members of their family has any defectors, of course, they're gonna be exiled from Pyongyang. They cannot go working in this restaurant. I'm thinking about it now, guys, like in here in Freedom, working at a restaurant as a waitress is not it's okay, it's a good job, but it's not like a dream job. Everybody dying to do that, becoming a waitress. But in North Korea, economy is so poor. The fact that even in people, these girls from Pyongyang, these most, top elite families, the fact they can go to somewhere, one, where they can be fed 3 times a day is a huge thing for them. And second is the opportunity they can fly once in their lifetime. Most of North Koreans don't even dream of flying once in their lifetime. And if they go abroad, like through working in the restaurant, this is the only way they can ever leave their homeland and see the world and come back. So even before these girls picked up, and so Mr. Gang, I had him on my life, so he decided to start this, restaurant, and then his family had the money, so he was going to invest. He would literally audition 80 girls in Pyongyang, and then he picked 22 of them based on their family, their singing, their look, everything. And I literally asked him, like, what's the number criteria to pick them? And it's like, oh, they can learn how to play instruments, but look is the most important. That's because that's what we are going to sell in China. So after he picked these 22 girls, it doesn't end there. They go through this like a training period for 2 years. It's not even like a military, right? But they pick the girls and put in the almost like dormitory, and then gonna go teach them the instrument, how to sing. And when you meet this kind of customer, because in those restaurants a lot of South Koreans even go to, so how to answer them, they're gonna tell you false information, how are you gonna react to it. So they're gonna create so many environments where these girls know how to react and not changing their minds. After that harsh 2 years of training, they finally go to China, and they're gonna be working in China for 5 years. Then when their age is like turning that way, they're gonna go back. So he took 22 girls and went to China. Then that's where this happened. He was working in China, but when he was in the university, he was sent to prison for 5 times and got beaten, tortured so many times because he was watching foreign information like South Korean movies. We watch South Korean movies all the time on Netflix, but that is an unbelievable dark crime in North Korea. Even though he was so highly connected, he still couldn't avoid the torture, all of that. And not only that, he was seeing his classmates get just like persecuted very quickly. So even though those elites do not worry about next meal, like their main concern is not about food, but they don't know when at any second they might be persecuted from Kim Jong-un, because their fathers are elite. And if father get affected, the children are gonna go with them together. They're gonna be sent to prison camp or executed. So he lost so many of his friends in university, and he realized this system really enslaves my people. I want to do something to bring down this dictatorship. So what does he do in China? So while he was working in China, one day and then he reached out to South Korean intelligence. There's a South Korean embassy number you can find online, and then reached out to them and told them, okay, I want to bring down the dictatorship in North Korea. What can I do? And South Korean intelligence told him, give us information. That will help us to better, fight with the dictator. So he started collecting information for North Korean intelligence as a North Korean elite businessman in China. So he was the one gave so many information to South Korea, and that broke a lot of news and helped us to understand the North Korean regime. Because when he came out, actually, Kim Jong-un personally wrote a letter to guarantee his loyalty to the regime and sent him out. Because usually these managers that we call like the restaurant managers, their age has to be at least more than 50 years old. But he was like only his 30s, and in North Korean history, nobody that young goes that high. So he was working for aunt of Kim Jong-un, and then the aunt was reaching out to Kim Jong-un, and then Kim Jong-un wrote a letter to make sure that he goes out and do this work for him, to make the foreign currency for him. That much faith from Kim Jong-un he was betraying. I mean, thank God he did. So while he was reaching out to South Korea, giving information, after 2 years later, South Korean intelligence informs him, okay, I think North Koreans found out about your work. You gotta escape now. Bring all the girls with you. So he could have just said, okay, I'm gonna go by myself. How can I take these like people with me escaping from China and to go freedom, right? Even one person is a hard task. How he's gonna do? This is like a mission impossible. And he had to do it within the same day, otherwise he was gonna get captured by Chinese and sent back to North Korea, executed altogether. So he was so loyal that he wouldn't abandon his workers. He told them like, let's go, let's risk our life to be free. Among those 22 members, half of them, 12 of them didn't want to go. They were saying, oh, if I escape, I don't want my families to be affected. They said, okay, I want to go back to North Korea. So he took those half of the people who were willing to risk their life to be free with him. So from China, he bought a ticket to go to, I think, some other country, Malaysia. And from there, he took an airplane. The South Koreans helped him to go to South Korea. It was like the Mission Impossible story of the Chinese intelligence involved, the North Korean intelligence, South Korean intelligence, so much intelligence getting involved. And after all of that, he arrived in South Korea 2016. But when he got there, the story was a whole different thing. South Korea promised him that they were not going to make him public, so he could protect his family and those workers he brought with him in North Korea. But however, there was a lot of also South Koreans. It was during the election season. It was a huge news. It was like all over the world. Like Reuters, New York Times, everybody was talking about it, because there was never a time in this high ranking was taking 12 ladies from North Korea in the top elite all together going to South Korea at once was something not heard of in human history. So of course they made that story public, and all his family got executed, entire his family. And a lot of the family members of these girls were starting being punished. But North Korea had a different trick. They were keep telling these girls and using the parents of them back in North Korea, saying, we know that you guys are kidnapped, why don't you come back to the motherland? And a lot of sympathizers of Kim Jong-un in South Korea were trying to kidnap them and trying to assassinate him. Literally assassinating him in South Korea. So eventually, even South Korea became not a safe place. He had to find a political asylum in America like 2 years ago. And that's how I got to meet him. All I knew was I was reading about him, and I just couldn't believe somebody could do this task, right? This is something I cannot even comprehend what it took for him to rescue this many girls. So before I end this video, I want to talk about these girls. I met some of those girls who were rescued and working in these restaurants, and I couldn't believe that I somehow thought the elite in Pyongyang had it easy, but it isn't. The best dream these girls can have is also their concern is be fed well. So when they were working in China, the 96% of their wages going to Kim Jong-un, and they only keep the 4% of them. So with that, they have to buy their clothes, their uniform, women need shampoo, soap, right? They have to do the basic accessories they had to buy. So after they work tirelessly, like a slave for 5 years, all they can save a few $100 USD and then go back. and hoping, I mean, that's gonna be the most money they are ever gonna make in their lifetime. So, and while they were in China, they actually, I have some photos of them here. They are wearing like this wedding dress and take photos, and they remember for the rest of their life they were free at once like that in their life. You know, like here, when I came here, and there are shows about women picking up their wedding dress, all of it. I think it's like thinking about your wedding as a girl. I know a lot of girls don't, but some girls do. It's a very natural thing. In North Korea, as a woman, you cannot ever dream of even wearing a wedding dress once in your lifetime. And these girls are complete victims of this system. They were not, I mean, all they want to be is like living life like a human, you know, having dreams, their ambitions. But when you are born in North Korean system, you do not own yourself. You're owned by a state, and they control you, what you do, what you can have, what you cannot. So, you know, I'm grateful that those 12 girls have made it to South Korea. Now they're thriving. Some of them fell in love with the South Koreans. They became mothers. Some of them, they are in university studying and working. And of course, they do never want to be public to try to protect their family members left back in North Korea. But like because of the Hwang that he was a manager, his family all got executed. I hope this story was really, I mean, informing and also, you know, hopeful. I really hope there are more people like Mr. Gang who wants to sacrifice whatever it takes to free our nation, because nothing is more precious than freedom. Thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys all next time.